Happy hump day and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the injury report. And I'm bringing this up earlier in the week because there are a lot of really notable names on both of these injury reports. Okay, so starting with the Ravens here, Jadeveon Clowney ended up on the injury report. He finished the game against Cincinnati. So right now the cause of the injury is unknown. The specifics behind that injury are unknown, but he did not practice today. Another guy whose injury is unknown and didn't practice was Justice Hill, who took over as the lead back for the Ravens. So if he can't practice for the rest of the week and he can't play, they're going to be down to Gus Edwards as their primary back, and they re-signed Kenyon Drake. So we were all hoping, well, not all of us, but some of us were hoping that Kenyon Drake would end up on the Colts. He does end up back with the Ravens, just as Kareem Hunt ends up back with the Browns, right? Both the guys that we've been talking about on this channel went back to the teams they were with last season. So for the Ravens coming up in this game, we could be seeing Gus Edwards as the lead back for the Ravens. Okay, now some key injuries on the offense for the Ravens are Odell Beckham Jr. with an ankle injury, center Tyler Lindenbaum with an ankle injury, and left tackle Ronnie Stanley with a knee injury. And Coach Harbaugh did say that the injury for Odell Beckham Jr. is not long term. But in the case of Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Lindenbaum, they're week to week after suffering injuries in week one. Now, in their stead, Patrick McCarry and Sam Mustipher stepped in, and from what I've seen, it looks like they did pretty good stepping in week two. So we'll see what happens with these guys. Ronnie Stanley, a very good player. Tyler Lindenbaum, also really good. So we'll see if they're in the lineup. It seems that their backups played pretty well there against Cincinnati. Okay, then you look at the defense. We already mentioned Jadeveon Clowney, but they also have Marlon Humphrey, who's been out for a while now, had foot surgery in training camp. He hasn't been practicing, so assume Marlon Humphrey's probably not going to be there. But also, Odafe Owe has an ankle injury, and his injury also said not to be long-term by Coach Harbaugh. But there really aren't specifics there. There's no timetable on when he'll be back. So we're going to be monitoring that one for sure. He is a really good player, and the Colts would be lucky if they didn't have to see him on the field. Okay, and another guy who they're not going to have is going to be their safety, Marcus Williams, who tore his pec and is opting not to have surgery. So he could end up playing again at some point this season, but it will not be in week two. So the Ravens have a lot of injuries, a lot of big name injuries here on their injury list to start the week. We'll see how that progresses throughout the week. Okay, but then you skip over here to the Colts, and we have Ryan Kelly did not practice because of the concussion. Quentin Nelson also did not practice, and that's because of a toe injury. And at least at the moment, it sounds like from what Coach said and from what we saw in the game on Sunday, if Ryan Kelly has to miss, Wesley French is going to continue to step in as the backup center. And the toe injury for Quentin Nelson, he played with it this past week and was dominant the entire game. So really wouldn't expect Quentin Nelson to miss this game here against the Ravens. But Anthony Richardson's one who definitely could, right? The concussion that happened in the game against the Texans, he did not practice at all on Wednesday. So it looks like this is going to be one where he's going to be held out this week. We saw that Drew Ogletree was held out even though he was cleared in the concussion protocol. They went ahead, held him out. Anthony Richardson, with as much as he runs and the hits that he could take, right, if he gets sacked and falls back and hits his head, right, we're looking at a Tua Tagovailoa situation. So this feels like a situation where definitely if he doesn't practice Thursday, I won't expect him to start at all. But just missing the first practice of the week, not even being able to be limited in practice, I'm going to expect Anthony Richardson to miss this upcoming game. So we're going to be looking at Gardner Minshew as the Colts quarterback going into Baltimore. Okay, and the other injuries that are on here, both on the defensive side, and both were limited participants. And that's Kenny Moore II and Grover Stewart. Kenny's dealing with a knee. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that and what effect that has. But he looked fine all game long against the Texans on Sunday. So at the end of the day, I expect him to be fine. He was a limited participant. I expect that to go to full participant for Thursday and Friday. And Grover Stewart, same thing. He was dominant all day long against the Texans. So he's limited on Wednesday. I expect him to be full the next couple days, but we'll continue to update this throughout the week as these practice reports come out. And we're also going to be doing film study. And the first one we're going to talk about is going to be the offensive line. The offensive line played great, and Will Fries was one of the highest rated players in the entire league, not just offensive linemen, in the entire league in the game against the Texans. So that's completely opposite of everything we expected. Okay, so we're going to be going over the offensive line. I was hoping to do individual videos, but as I was looking through the tape, like separating one guy from another, like it started to be, this guy was included and this guy was included. So we'll talk about the offensive line as a whole, but it's going to be a lengthy video. Just going to let you know that right now. All right, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you get notified when that video does drop. And with that said, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.